Afternoon. Okay, when we're ready to go, we'll get underway. Carvey from Sky Sports News.
Gareth, there's no denying what Wayne Rooney has achieved wearing the England shirt, but he did announce his retirement 15 months ago. What's the thinking behind your decision to bring him back, if it was your decision?
Well, there have been ongoing discussions since Wayne retired about paying tribute to him and his England career, which is phenomenal in terms of the number of matches he played and being our record goal scorer as well. So those discussions were started over 12 months ago. I was actually quite happy for the tribute to be before the World Cup, but in fairness to Wayne, he didn't want to detract from the team at that time. So that, of course, everybody respected, and we saw the sense in that. So now we had the opportunity with the game at Wembley to pay that tribute, and as the manager, my involvement is around. Was I happy to play a part in the game? And I think actually yes. I'm still able to look to the future in terms of the squad we've picked and the things I want to see. But also I've talked a lot to the players about the importance of the shirt, the history of the shirt, honouring former players. We've brought former players back in to speak to the squad. We've brought former players in to present first shirts to the squad. And I think all of the players would respect that Wayne's contribution deserves the best possible send-off. So I understand that's caused a lot of debate and conjecture. But for me, I think it's a small way of appreciating what he's given to his country.
Do you understand the fans and the ex-players who say that it devalues the England cap and it also devalues the game because it almost turns it into a testimonial?
Well, we went to Germany and played when they honoured Podolski, and he started the game, in fact. And I think we were all struck by the fact that that was a really good way to recognise somebody who'd had a fantastic career for his country. I'd have to say I don't think we've been brilliant at that over the years. We can't do anything about how we've done that in the past, but I know what it's meant to the squad from '66 to come to St George's a few months ago and have a dinner when we named the entrance after Sir Ralph Ramsey. I know what it meant to Bobby Charlton to come to St George's when we named the pitch after him a few months ago. So I really think it's important that the former players feel part of what we're doing with England. That's very important to me. In terms of the value of caps, that's very difficult to be precise on that. You can come on in a game with 2 minutes to go because the team need a change or you're tactically doing something. I played in games where we changed the whole team at half time. So this fixture, from my point of view, is an opportunity to learn about some new players, to look at some players I need to see. We then have the game with Croatia, which everybody knows the importance of to us, and I want to protect that squad as much as possible in the first game. So there's many things you're trying to get out of these fixtures, and I hope come the night that, and I'm sure, because although you're saying people are not happy about it, a lot of people are also recognising what Wayne's done, and I hope for him that he gets the appropriate response, because I think he deserves that. He's been a tremendous servant. The number of tournaments he's played in to be our record goal scorer, when you look at the players that he's gone past to achieve that, is incredible. And I've been in the unfortunate position having to leave him out of a squad, but I'm pleased to be able to be a part of honouring what he's done for England.
Will he get the captain's armband when he comes on? Will he be wearing the number 10 shirt?
Well, we've always been 1 to 11 with England outside of tournaments, so we have had some discussions about moving forward. Should we have squad numbers? that would stop our kit man having to print shirts up the night before a game, which is always a bit fraught. But we haven't decided on that at this time. So he wouldn't wear the number 10 because he won't start the game. In terms of the captaincy, the last game he played in with me when he came on, Jordan Henderson ran over and gave him the armband as soon as he ran on the pitch. So I guess that will depend on the circumstances of the game and the players that are out there. But I have no issue with that at all.
Just a final question on Wayne Rooney from me. A lot of fans think that maybe it was done to sell tickets for the game. Can you just confirm that it was a football decision, not a business decision?
Yeah, I can only refer back to the fact that these discussions have been going on for a year. So, as I say, there was a possibility around the Nigeria game, which Wayne and the game with Costa Rica, but the Nigeria game was here. Wayne was adamant he didn't want to detract from the team in their preparations for the World Cup and be seen to be doing that in any way. So that's why it was put back. This game is the first opportunity we've had at Wembley really to do that. And that's the reason. The reason it's a bit late in terms of the announcement is just because these things take time for the detail. And we weren't 100% sure if he was still going to be involved in playoff situation with his club in America. So sometimes by necessity that's a bit later. But as I say, the discussions have been going on for a year.
Callum Wilson, how impressed have you been with the way he's been playing this season? What do you think he can bring to this squad?
Well, I think Bournemouth have started the season really well. They're a team who have had fantastic performances over the last couple of years. Callum is a striker we worked with briefly with the under-21s, so we know plenty about him. He's a threat in terms of running in behind defences. He's obviously been involved either scoring or with assists in a high number of goals this season. So it's a good opportunity for us to have a look at him in training and to see how he fits into what we do. And for him to get a feel of working with the senior team.
And also, it's quite a sort of fairy tale story from him having to come back from 2 very serious knee injuries.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think part of being a footballer is showing the resilience, and that would be commonplace amongst a lot of the squad. They'll have had to come back from setbacks, whether that's rejection or injury. And he's had that, but he's got back to a really good level. He's been a key part of Bournemouth's start to the season, so he's earned the right to a call-up.
And the other name that stands out is Michael Keane being recalled. How impressed have you been with his form this season? Yeah,
well, I think when we look at the centre-backs that haven't been regulars over the last few months with us, Michael at Everton is asked to play in a way now that is very similar to the way we're playing. He's asked to take more responsibility on the ball at his club. So he's really recovered. He had a difficult end to last season. Quite a serious foot injury that impeded him for a long period of time. But I like the way he's played this year. We've got an injury to Harry Maguire, of course, and an injury. James Tarkowski's also injured. But Michael's a player that I've been looking at this season anyway, so it's a good opportunity for him to come back into the squad. He did very well for us in the games in Germany last time and at home to Lithuania.
Was it a hard decision to leave some of the players out from the last squad? Players like James Maddison, for instance?
Well, they're injured. Maddison and Mount are both injured. Chalobah he got injured in a training session the day after he went back to his club and has only just got back. So given that even before that he was short of match time, he needs to get back playing football really. We brought him last time for the experience as much as anything, and it was great that we were able to get him on the field, but he needs a run of games now. And I've had a similar conversation with Adam Lallana that he's very much part of our thoughts. We know what a super player he is. He's still building up to full fitness with Liverpool, and I felt at this time better for him to stay with his club. And
Loftus-Cheek and Lingard and Dele Alli all back in for you as well.
Yeah, well, those guys obviously missed with Fabian Delph, they missed the last camp with injury, which was part of why we were looking at some of the younger players that we did. So had all of those been available, I'd have had a more difficult selection. But a lot of those guys were a key part of what we did in the summer, and they're not at full fitness. We've got quite a few players that are still carrying injuries or just recovering from injuries, but that will take some managing across the 10 days we're together. But it's good to have some more of those senior players back in the fold.
And the final one from me, just about the state of the Wembley pitch. I know a lot of the PSV players, also the manager, weren't very happy with it. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it today. Is it going to affect the way you play in these next two games? How worried are you about the state of the pitch?
Well, I know that we've got a brilliant groundsman who'll do everything he can to get it in the best possible condition. It's not ideal for us, given the way we want to play. But equally, it's a circumstance that's unusual in that, through nobody's fault, unfortunately, Spurs' stadium isn't complete, so they've had additional games here, and the NFL games have also been played, and we've had the fight as well on the pitch. So that is the beauty of a national stadium. You can have those events, but there's a consequence on the surface, and we just have to adapt and perform to our best possible level.
Hi Gareth, you said relatively recently that you thought words to this effect: it was becoming too easy to get into the England squad. By picking Wayne, are you not sending out a contradictory message?
No, I think I was talking about young players coming in who we're trying to establish into the team. I think words to that effect is correct. I don't think that's exactly what was said, but this is different. This is just paying tribute to a player who I feel deserves that tribute. We could name many other players from the past that maybe we should have paid tribute to and haven't. I'm not sure we should feel too good about that. But I accept that people will say, well, why this time? And but I can't give you an answer as to why those decisions were taken in the past. Is it too easy to get a cap? Well, some of our players have had very limited number of Premier League games and are maybe in ahead of where they might have been 10 years ago, but we are, last week, 28% of the league English players, and so we're having to think differently about what we do with our young players. But they've responded brilliantly. We picked the youngest team for 50 odd years in Spain, and they gave a super performance, super result, and we're looking to build on that in the coming days.
Was there a small part of you that you thought, when you were making this decision about picking Wayne, that as a former England player yourself, to a certain extent that might devalue some of the shirts that you won? You know how hard it was to get them and to keep hold of them. Did that cross your mind at all?
No, because I think if anybody deserves one more cap, it's somebody that's had 119, more than somebody that's had one, or somebody that might have had, a handful. I think he's earned the right to that cap over a period of over 10 years and 6 major tournaments with England, and to be the record goal scorer. So I think there would be numerous examples of people that have earned caps in different circumstances, and the fact is it's the opportunity to pay tribute to what he's achieved. And we're a strange country in that we bemoan the fact that we haven't achieved as much as we'd like, and then we have a player who should be held in the highest regard, and we're spending a lot of time justifying giving him that tribute. So from my point of view, I'm looking forward to seeing him, working with him for the next few days, giving him the send-off that I think he deserves with England, which isn't always possible for players. And in this opportunity, it is possible. So, I hope and I'm sure the crowd will give him the reaction he deserves.
There are other ways that you could have honoured him or given him a tribute other than giving him a shirt and some game time there. Would they not have been more appropriate?
Well, we could argue, I've seen that Spain are getting David Silva to kick the game off. Germany started Podolski in the game. Wesley Sneijder played in Holland last month. We can debate all day long what is the correct way. I was offered the opportunity to work with Wayne, and was I happy with him playing part of the game? And absolutely, happy to facilitate that. I think it's an appropriate tribute for him, a nice moment for him and his family. And I think that's the most important thing in these instances.
Just one more on this. Do you think you've made a rod for your own back to a certain extent with Premier League managers? Because they in the future now can say, well, it's easier for me to withdraw my player because actually England friendlies are part testimonials these days.
No, I mean, we're unlikely to have another friendly for another year. I don't think any of the managers would think of it like that. I think people in football would recognise that when you're at a club, you have the chance to recognise those players at the moment, and some clubs have done that brilliantly in the recent past in particular. But they would be trying to breed an environment where people are proud to be a part of that shirt and feel attached to it for a long period of time. And it was a long time after I finished playing before I was even invited back to watch a game. So I think we've got better at that over a long period of time. In this instance, something different, but something which other countries do, major countries as well. Let's have a look at it. We can assess once everything's finished whether that was the right thing to do and whether we'd do it again. But over a period of time now, I've tried to approach things differently with England, and some of those decisions are a bit risky, and some have paid off and some won't. But in this instance, as I say, I'm looking forward to Wayne receiving the accolades and the appreciation that he deserves.
Gareth, sorry to go over old ground, but your whole ethos since you became England manager was to bring in a complete sort of new sweep, new broom, new younger players. And it was you who effectively ended Rooney's career. So can you see why there has been so much conjecture over this?
Not really, because the two things are completely separate. I'm not picking Wayne to play in a qualifier or to play against Croatia. We're acknowledging the part he's played with English football. For the games that we've got lots of young players involved, and we're looking to the future. And I'm able to try to balance. When you're England manager, you've got to balance lots of different objectives, and I think in this instance we're able to balance these particular objectives, and I think we should be looking to do those sorts of things where possible. And it doesn't affect our preparation for any of the games, and it doesn't affect how we're going to approach the games, and it doesn't affect opportunities for any young players. So in that respect, I'm completely comfortable with the situation.
But it is 3 days before a match against Croatia that England obviously want to win, need to win. Does that mean that this match, the approach to that will be you playing a completely different side, looking at completely different players? It's just going to be very much a friendly.
Well, it's an opportunity. What do we use the friendlies for? We want to learn things, really. If I go back to the games with Germany and Brazil last November, we wanted to look at a different system. We wanted to look at different players. So we have to use those opportunities. The game with Switzerland at Leicester was the same thing. We've got players who've been in and around the squad that we value, who haven't always had the chance to play. We've got some players that played a big part in the World Cup who've been injured recently. So there's lots of different things that we need to look at across the two games. We'll decide exactly how we approach that over the next few days, although we're pretty clear. So the most important game, of course, is the game with Croatia, and our preparation for that has got to be spot on. But we've just gone up to 5th in the world, and we want to continue to progress as a team and improve as a team. And so it's important that we know what our younger players are capable of, what our older players are capable of. And the game with the States is another opportunity for us to go and play well and win a game of football.
You've said a couple of times that England haven't been good in the past at honouring past players. Are you thinking of anyone specifically? Bobby Moore, for example, wasn't treated very well.
Well, I can't speak totally accurately about previous players, but I know that there was seems to have been a general feeling that the team from '66 maybe weren't recognised as much as they might have been for certain periods. So look, we've tried to involve former England players as much as possible, and I think those that have been asked to work with us and to come and speak to the team and to present shirts have appreciated that, and hopefully in some small way feel part of what we're doing still. They're all welcome to come to St George's, and I know that we invite more and more players to matches than ever before. So I think that's important. If I'm a current player, the way that the former players are treated is very important to me, because I think you can see what the future holds for you, and if you're committing yourself to your country and giving what you're giving, then I think those moments of recognition are important.
Just two more from me. Jadon Sancho, is he a good example for you of how players can really benefit from going abroad and playing their football there and counteracting the issue we've spoken about a lot, about the lack of game time in the Premier League?
Yeah, I think with a few players that have taken the decision to go and play in Europe this year, he's the most high profile and is playing in an excellent team and playing in big matches and playing extremely well. So he's gained a lot of valuable experience this season. He's a player that really excites us. Midweek he's playing away in Atletico Madrid, and what a brilliant experience for him. So we felt he adapted very well to our training last time, and he's a player we're looking forward to watching in one of the games this week.
And just finally, you mentioned earlier about the age of the team against Spain. To go and do that and to play so well, how much confidence has that given these young players?
Yeah, I think it's huge for their belief. If we look at the summer is gone now, but to build on the summer was important for us, and we've had an unprecedented run of fixtures going back to last November against top teams, more than has ever been the case. And in those, we've played Switzerland, Spain, Croatia, all in the top 10 in the last couple of months. We've won 2, we've had a good draw away, and we've had a narrow defeat to Spain here. So given the way that we've added more youth to the squad as well, I think that's been a good progression, and what we want to do now is finish the calendar year really well with the 2 matches at Wembley.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll end the TV conference there, head out and speak to radio broadcasters, and return to speak to the writers.